Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, Brianna. Excuse me. To date, we have 259 wildfires. Again, that is well above the average of 147 to date. Of those fires, we know that about 80% of them are human caused. And of those human-caused fires, approximately 30 have been investigated and have been intentionally set. We are asking for public's assistance in identifying those individuals that have started those fires or have attempted to start fires. Of those fires, we have recently had 4 in the Prince Albert area in the last number of days. And so again, we would ask members of the public to either call the 1-855 line, your local police service, or Crime Stoppers if you have any idea who is attempting or starting those fires across our province. I will also note that the RCMP have already laid 2 arson charges in regards to the fires, and we will be continuing to investigate other fires in the province over the coming days. We can confirm that there are, about 290 values lost. We suspect that there is over 400. Our verification activities are continuing throughout this week to truly identify what the impact of these wildfires were and get an accurate count of those structures, whether they be residents, recreational vehicles, lodges, cars, trucks, whatever those are damaged. We also revised the provincial fire ban as of yesterday at 5 p.m. The fire ban now only applies to the area the fire ban only applies to the North Provincial Forest up to the Churchill River. And before that, prior to the announcement on May 8th, the entire area was covered by the fire ban. The current fire ban below the Churchill River still contains the prohibiting the use of all-terrain vehicles and utility-trained vehicles, any open fires, controlled burns, and fireworks in those designated boundaries. We continue to monitor that and review those fire bans daily, and we will make any adjustments as the weather and conditions permit. Premier Moe this morning announced the Government of Saskatchewan will be also providing $500 in financial assistance to all evacuated residents over the age of 18. SPSA and the Government of Saskatchewan will be working with community leaders to distribute the financial assistance. And it will be distributed directly as a grant form, and there will be more information coming in the coming days and on how that timeliness and how that money will be rolling out into those communities. We know and we really empathize that this is a very difficult time for those that were impacted and evacuated, and we're doing everything we can to ensure that everyone is receiving the financial support as quickly as possible. Yesterday, I spoke regarding a backlog of supporting and getting those individuals that have self-evacuated, those financial supports or food vouchers, and we have, I guess, pivoted and increased our staffing to address that backlog. We currently have 32 staff really making positive impacts to reduce that number of calls and callbacks. And I do want to remind everyone that those financial assistance or financial support will be retroactive back to the date of evacuation. And as the minister said earlier this week, I believe, and we are turning a corner. We're seeing the fire activity has been relatively same over the past few days. There has not been any significant growth. And we've also seen and been informed that there's numerous communities being, either preparing for or have repatriated back to their communities. Birch Portage evacuees returned home on June 9th. Little Bear Lake, Moosehorn, and Timber Bay are returning today, June the 11th. We have been informed that the following communities will also be lifting evacuation orders on June the 12th. Hall Lake, Brabant Lake, Nemeban Lake, Sucker River, Wadden Bay, English Bay, Sikichu, Clam Crossing, Lac La Ronge Indian Band, La Ronge, Air Ronge, Napatak, Eagle Point, Lamp Lake, Rabbit Creek, Potato Lake, and the in Priority 1 and Priority 2 individuals in Stanley Mission are also going to be probably returned in the next couple of days. As the repatriation efforts continue, we will work with the community leaders to support those that are being supported by SPSA to safely return their communities over the coming days. We're still, at this point in time, still reporting approximately 10,000 or more individuals that have been evacuated. As we slowly help those communities to repatriate, we'll hopefully be able to supply more updated numbers as community members return to their communities. We continue to assess risk and work with community leaders in other communities that I did not announce today in regards to when it will be safe for those community leaders to make those decisions to repatriate. And with that, I will turn it over to Brian to give an update on fire activity.
Thanks, Marlo. Okay, good afternoon. We'll start off with the shoe fire. So it's still not contained at this time, and the size is 550,000 hectares. No significant growth since we received rain over the weekend, so that's helped our efforts a lot. So we continue to monitor and scan the perimeter for hotspots and getting our staff into those key locations that we need on the west side, so that the communities of Candle Lake and White Swan are no longer threatened. Demobbing our values protection around structures in the interior of this fire that are no longer under threat, such as Little Bear, East Trout Lake, Lower Fishing Lake. So progress is coming along. Minimal fire growth or intensity. So we've been working on the south. So I don't know how well you can see my cursor here, but we're working on the southwest. Progress is coming up the west side here to cut off any growth of this fire coming westward towards Candle. And again, we have crews and equipment up by White Swan as well. Those are our priority spots for this fire. No concerns at this time with the forecasted weather. For the next 5-6 days, it looks like temperatures are going to remain cooler and a little more cloudier with a chance of some precip possibly. We'll have to reassess and see if we actually get that rain or not. But again, no concerns with these fires for the next few days, so we can improve, establish our resources where they're needed to make sure that there's no communities being threatened. What's next on the list here? It will head north to J. Smith. So this fire is still at 165,000 hectares. Again, no significant runs or fire activity. The yellow would be previous fire activity beyond 48 hours ago. So, but within 7 days, so a week within that time frame, these edges were active again, because there's no red or orange, which would indicate active fire. So no runs or anything. We're continuing to demob infrastructure of values protection equipment around Brabant and various cabins, as well as monitor and put out hotspots along the perimeter on that northeast side to make sure that it doesn't make its way towards South End, and as well as any other areas around any cabins in the vicinity. Again, no concerns of this fire getting up and going anytime soon. Go over to the Key Sioux fire. So no activity, no growth. L'Orange over the weekend received 24 mils of rain, but we are still monitoring and finishing up Valley's protection in the various communities in case the forecasts aren't what we're expecting, which hopefully is cooler and more precipitation. But we've been monitoring Hall Lake for any hot spots or any fire threat. Everything is looking good there. We finished up the dozer lines and putting up the sprinklers for Napatak and Potato Lake, as well as patrolling through Orange and L'Orange, all the way up north up to Sucker River for any hot spots around the communities. Everything seems to be looking good. We're putting out the spots as we find them. Been concentrating on this west side of L'Orange. It was hot there a few days back, so we're just mopping up some hot spots. Otherwise, again, no concerns with these fires. But there's still quite a bit of work with putting out some of the small fires that are still around and refurbishment of equipment and demob of that equipment. And this fire is at 181,000 in size. Next would be the Wolf Fire. So this one is 130,000 hectares in size. It has merged with the Pelican 2 and the Club Fire, but we're keeping them separate with their current names. Crews continue to work around the Creighton and Denair Beach communities, securing the line so that nothing does pop up later on. Things are looking good. No structures were reported lost in Creighton. Unfortunately, though, Denair, significant losses were reported in that community, and we have a documentation team that will be filling out those reports this week, as Marlo mentioned. Crews are still working around town, especially the north side of town, where there's a lot more hot spots. So we'll continue to do that as we work with the utility partners of SaskTel, SaskPower, trying to get those utilities up for the community, and for SaskTel to repair 26 kilometers of fiber optic line. We have crews working along with them to make sure there's no danger trees or any hot spots to speed up that process, as well as patrolling the various roads to cabins in the area and monitoring and patrolling for hot spots and putting out those around any values. To the west side of this fire, we have the foreign mine that has brought their staff back to start work, as the mine site is no longer under threat of this fire. You can see here, fire got close, but it did not impact the mine. We'll head north to the Pelican 2. So we have it listed at 40,000 hectares in size. The community of Pelican Narrows is not under threat of any fire. Any hot spots in the vicinity of the community or within have been extinguished, and there's no more fuel around to pose a risk to the community. So our crews have been concentrating on the southern side for the last few days as this fire continued to grow southward towards Jan Lake. We've established dozer guards and set up Valley's protection around that community. But since we received the rain, we were able to direct attack this fire. So we deployed crews to this southern flank and along the west flank to stop it from growing. Progress is doing well, but again, there's still lots of work. These are very large fires, but again, no concerns, and we don't foresee any challenges We're also monitoring the roadway into the community of Pelican Narrows for any fires, hot spots, or downed trees and things like that, making sure that the access route to the community of Pelican and up to Sandy Bay is still accessible. Next, we got the ditch fire. So this fire is currently 174,000 hectares in size. And you can tell by the amount of yellow spots left from our satellite imagery. It was fairly active last week, but thankfully there's nothing new, orange or red, on here. So the fire has been inactive for a few days now since the precip. But with it being as active as it was, that just means there's a lot of hot spots and warm areas that we need to patrol and mop up, which we are doing around the Ramsey Bay area and other values within that sector. We also, on the east side of Montreal Lake, around Molinosa, there's some structures there that we're demobbing Valley's protection from, and also patrolling the dozer lines. Still some smokes and hot spots, but nothing concerning. We're dealing with them as they're being found. To the north, we have crews on the north side, putting them into warmer areas that are showing smoke and dealing with those so that this fire is no longer a threat to Napatak, Potato Lake, Eronge, or Larange and the various communities north of this fire. Progress is going well. But like I mentioned before, we still finished the defensive lines of dozer guards and sprinkler systems as a contingency plan. But again, we don't foresee any challenges at this time. So crews continue to work away, mopping up these hot spots. Every day we're signing up more and more type 3s to assist us in this process. So overall, things are starting to look better. And I hope the weather continues to be in our favor. Otherwise, that's the end of my report. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Before we move into the official questions, there was a question in the chat. Brian, can you just explain what the pink meant on the map?
I guess I would have to find where that pink would be.
That's okay. We can follow up afterwards.
Yeah, there's a lot of different colors. So yeah, there's some pink. So I'm assuming it's the fire scars, and they're color coded by different years. So these are old fires that we've encountered, and so we layered it on our maps, and this helps us strategize and give us an idea of the fire behavior on how it's going to react or grow in certain directions based on the wind and weather. Usually when it runs into a fire scar, there's less fuel, so the intensity will drop, meaning the fire will either slow down or actually go out in itself. But with the drought conditions that we found ourselves in there this spring, these fires continue to go regardless. So, but anyways, it's one of our tactics and to help us come up with strategies, if that was the pink you're questioning.
Okay, thank you. So we'll move into the formal question and answer. Just a reminder to please identify your name and your media outlet and ask one question. So we will start with Christopher.
Hi, yeah, Chris Vanderbriegel with Global News. Just before I ask my question, Brian, if you're the one answering any questions, if you could please turn your camera on, as some of us are TV and we need to see your friendly face. There we go. All right. So my question would be about the evacuations, and in terms of the evacuation numbers we're expecting to see by the end of the weekend, with a lot of these communities returning. Right now, 10,000 or more are evacuated. Is there an estimate for how many would still be evacuated after the end of this weekend with the communities that are returning?
I'll grab that one, Brian. We don't have those numbers right now, Chris. As I said, we'll announce those tomorrow once we get a better idea which communities are leaving today and into tomorrow. We do know that there'll be a vast number of them that will be dropping off over the next 48 hours, give or take. So we'll announce that as soon as we get a better count.
Okay, Jillian.
Hi, Jillian Massey with 980 CJME. Just with the flames starting to settle, what do the next few weeks look like for fire crews, and what are they going to be doing?
Over to you, Brian.
Sure. Lots of work to do. So things are looking good now, but there's a lot of these fires are quite large, so there's a lot of perimeter for us to monitor and scan and get crews out on. So it's going to take us some time to continue to do those observations of these fires. It all depends on the weather, whether it's going to get hot and dry again. We'll see a lot of these come to life if that's the case. But if it continues to be cooler and wetter, that'll help speed up that process. But most likely there'll be sections of these fires that'll probably start smoking up throughout the summer, so we'll have to keep an eye on them. If it's in the interior, it's not going to be a threat, but definitely anything on the perimeters, we will have to extinguish as we go forward. But as we continue to monitor them, we don't want these to get up and going again and escape, so we will be monitoring and putting crews on them as required. Once they are contained and we totally demob off of them, we need to refurbish all of our equipment and get it all up and ready and cleaned up for additional starts. Of course, that's going to be ongoing as the weeks continue. We'll demob, the values and structures we have protected now. And as we continue to move to different sectors of these fires or to new starts or different fires, our equipment will always be refurbished. But again, we need to catch up on some of that because we've deployed pretty much all of our inventory. So lots of work to do.
Thanks, Brian. Moving on to Pierre Olivier.
Hi, Pierre with CBC French Radio Canada. Can you tell us what prompted you to launch a more in-depth investigation into these 30 fires?
Thanks for the question, Pierre. It's not more an in-depth investigation. What we do is we investigate the cause and origin of all the fires. So this year, as has been reported from almost day one, that most of the fires that have started to date are human caused. But part of the investigation process is was it intentional? So we do know that some were unintentional, recreational, ATVs, a campfire that got away on somebody. Those are unintentional. But we also know that there are circumstances, about 30 of them to date, and there's a number of other investigations that are still ongoing, that were intentional. They were individuals that intentionally utilized a means to start a fire in the forest or near Prier or near other communities. And as I mentioned, the RCMP have already laid charges on 2 individuals for arson. And so what we're asking is really members of the public to assist the province, either calling Crime Stoppers, your local police service, or us, if they have any information on individuals that are intentionally starting these fires.
Thank you. Jeremy?
Hi there. Yeah, Jeremy Symes with the Canadian Press. I'm just wondering, with the L'Orange area, people going back tomorrow, I'm just wondering what role the SPSAs has in just assisting with that.
We work with the community leaders up to and prior to the decision to repatriate. So again, based on some of the information that we are supplying those community leaders around the safety, guiding them around the critical infrastructure, making sure the power, water, hospital are up and going. We've had a number of SPSA staff working with their EOC or their community leaders to determine when is the optimum or safe time for their community members to return. If we are housing any of their individuals in one of our hotels, we will arrange for bus transportation back to those communities. And we will continue to work with the community leaders to determine any other needs that they need going through and repatriating their citizens. So we're closely aligned, but it really is a community leadership decision.
Okay, Chris, we can go back to you.
Perfect. I think this one's going to be for Brian. Taking a look at how large these fire perimeters are, does there reach a point where you can say that any of these fires are under control, or are they just that big that they'll be out of control the entire rest of the fire season and you'll have to be watching them that closely?
Good question. I guess it all depends on how the rest of the summer kind of unfolds. I assume it's going to still get warm and dry up. We're only in June. We still have July and August. So as the indices and fire danger increases, we do our loaded patrols, whether it's with our fixed wing or rotary wing. And so we'll be monitoring the areas where the fires aren't, but we'll also be monitoring where the fires were. They are large, and there's probably going to be things that light up, green islands in the interior that we'll have to monitor, but it's not going to be able to have the intensity to spot over into out of the perimeter and start another fire. But it all depends on the circumstances, the wind, and the indices of that time. But we have our staff patrolling the area. We have civilians that call in, and we also have commercial air flights that report many fires, as well as our detection program with our towers and cameras. So we have many ways of monitoring the landscape. And unfortunately, if these things are going to smoke up for most of the season, it will. It'll be on our radar, and we may get some false calls if something starts picking up, and then somebody out on the lake sees it and reports it. We do check every single report and confirm whether it's a new start or not. So it could cause us some grief, but again, it's better to double check and make sure rather than assume and let something get away. So.
Thanks, Brian. Pierre, back to you.
Yes, so when's the last time the province had a fire the size of the Shoe Fire? So about 550,000 hectares, and how many people are fighting this fire right now?
So fires these large aren't uncommon. They happen every now and then. Actually, the last fire similar to this size was 2 summers ago. We had it up north of La Ronge, and it was just shy of 500,000. It was in a more remote location and didn't affect quite so many people or infrastructure up there. And then as per resources, when it comes to these fires, the fires and priorities change daily or even hourly, and we have to relocate those resources over and over again. But again, as those numbers fluctuate, we currently have about 160 resources on that fire today.
Thanks. So we are at 2:02, but we do recognize that things did go a little long, so we have some flexibility to go for a few more minutes. So Chris, I see you have your hand up, Christopher, and if anybody else has any last questions, this is your call to raise your hand as well. So
I always have more questions. Marlo, this one's for you. A lot of criticism levied, especially yesterday, about the SPSA's response to the evacuees and the delays involved, the bottlenecks that were acknowledged by Premier Moe this morning. How much introspection is there going to be within the SPSA as to how prepared the organization is ahead of time, ahead of fire season, for large-scale evacuations when we get into wildfire season?
There's always well, thanks for the question first, Chris. There is always a after action review on anything that we do to find out where those gaps were and how we can better prepare for a future incident. I can assure you that the evacuees that were at the greatest risk, that we needed to move out of communities and put into hotels, received the utmost attention because they were at highest risk. We do know that there was a number of other individuals that self-evacuated, and most of those, or at least the reports that I'm getting, or most of those went with family and friends, and that's where we need to improve. We're not able to contact them in a timely manner. We're still working on contacting those, but we did triage those. We based it on a need. And so the ones that were not in imminent danger were unfortunately not contacted as quickly as we probably should have. That's why we brought on and we pivoted, and we've got more resources on. We're going to be working long hours with lots of resources to make sure that we contact each and every one of them, that they get those financial supports as quickly as humanly possible. And like I've said before, that will go back to the evacuation date. It will be retroactive.
I see that Brian raised his hand. Brian, do you want to add to that?
No, I just to comment, I looked up the resources on the fire. So the last question for me was resources on the shoe. It's 197 right now on that shoe fire.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, Jeremy?
Yeah, sorry, I missed the first bit here, so my apologies to everyone. But if you could just describe the overall situation right now across the north in fighting these fires, just broadly speaking, what is the situation looking like?
Yeah, we're sitting a lot better this week than that last week for sure. We received precipitation over the weekend. We have forecasts for cooler, cloudier weather for the next 5 to 6 days with chances of more precipitation. So that's definitely in our favor. We're not out of the woods yet, but this definitely stops the fires from growing and progressing, giving us time to get our staff and resources on those key locations to stop it from heading towards any community or endangering further infrastructure. This also gives us an opportunity for other utility companies to get back in and make repairs so that we can get power and other utilities back up for the communities affected. It's been pretty intermittent over this last couple of weeks with it coming back on and off just because the power poles and things like that were burning. So that gives us a chance to secure those locations and have that repaired and continue to put these out. And with the continued cooler weather, that's looking very, very good right now. So thank you.
Okay, thanks, Brian. Thank you, everybody. Seeing no more questions, we will end it here. But thanks for tuning in and have a good rest of your day. Bye.